So when we were down there at their school, which was built by the BIA, they wanted a new school, but they also wanted the road and the bridge. And the price tag on that is somewhere between $30 and $40 million. So having a design for a school is great. They have a location. They just want to know how they're going to get there, because it's not anywhere near their island, because they have to move off a barrier island to do that. So I don't see anything wrong with what Representative Wilson is saying is, while you're working on the design specs, you've got a bigger, more expensive project to connect it to the world, because right now you can't build it on the island they're on, which is what they've been doing. Is all of the other replacement schools on the list are fairly easy. You just build it next to the old school. We saw that in one of the other towns we visited. But this one's a special case. I don't see any reason why you would not put this project on hold until you have your design specs, and then you have to take a look at the fact that this design is going to require more than just building a school. You have to relocate the entire town. So the state, I know, is under pressure from the lawsuit and stuff, but I think holding off on the money on the design work until after you've ironed out whether or not your architect firm you chose to do the design stuff has actually built schools here and has come up with designs that work probably would be a good idea. I think Mr. Covey was correct. You better be talking to all of the maintenance people in every one of those districts. One of the first things Northwest Arctic did really well is start standardizing simple things like water pumps, so that they can have the same thing. They had the same gen set in every single school. So when it goes down, it's a short plane flight to bring the same thing out. They got the parts box. The one-off school system that we have done in Anchorage, Fairbanks, Juneau, out in the bush, doesn't work anymore. And I think it's a good step forward to try to design more cookie-cutter schools and have that as a standard design. But you have to look at the offset costs. I mean, that's a huge $30 million for the road and move the town, and then build the school is going to be probably further down the road than just 2015 fiscal year. So I don't see any problem with setting it aside and going yeah, we'll get to it, but it's not going to have to move on. That's just an opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Neese. Representative Wilson.
I just want to put on record, we looked at the new capital budget, so the old one had 9. But also there's a Northwest Arctic Borough for the evacuation and access road, which is probably what they should wait on first to find out if it could. Currently, and this is not a budget that's been passed, $2.5 million is in there. For the replacement school, it is now 4.6. I still agree that, and we will have the discussion with the governor about the 4.6, because especially if we're going to put $2 million to find out if it's even possible and how much it would cost, I think that would be the first way. But I want to make sure that the governor has altered that amount if people look it up.
Thank you. Andy, was that you online?
Yeah, Madam
Okay,
Chair.
go ahead.
Representative Gaddis, the 2.5 is not to look and see if it's feasible. As she said, it's to start with the design. You do the first parts of the design. And on David's note, I disagree. I think that I may be wrong, but the Kasaili lawsuit didn't say, okay, you can build this school only if you can do it right next door, or if you have a road. It didn't say any of that. It said you have to build a school. So I think we need to be apples to apples on some of this stuff and not get away from ourselves.
Right, and Andy, I think what I'm hearing you say is intertangled in this is a lawsuit as well. So it's not just as simple as we might think.
Well, no one's saying not to build it. I think I want to make a clarification. The 2.5 is what we're all saying, that there's going to have to be a road access to it. The question is, do you do the access and make sure that's all in place? Then you go forward with the replacement school, because now you're going to know where the community is. So I don't think anybody's saying the school shouldn't be done. I think it's just right now at this point, what I would like to see done is hoping that we can come out with more of this prototype and we can get more efficient in how we're building that. This would be, in my opinion, one of the first places that you could test that concept out, and especially in the kind of climate you're talking about, which would save money for the state as far as building it, but more importantly for the school district to be able to afford the heat and all the maintenance that goes with it. And that's what we're seeing right now. And some schools that are only 10 years old having some major maintenance that needs to be done because they weren't built for the areas that they were placed in. Look beautiful, but they really weren't meant for those kinds of climates. So we still want to do it. We're just trying to figure out the order.
That figured out. But how does that, if we wait, how does that?
Andy, you're going to have to speak up a little bit, please.
Yeah, to wait, how does it help the ones having to have class in the hallway or that stuff, I guess is my last comment on that.
Madam Chair?
Mr. Halcrow.
Yes, two questions for Elizabeth, and actually the first one might go to you and Representative Wilson. When we were in Kivalina last year, I think the school district told us that former Governor Parnell had made the comment that the state was not going to build a school in Kivalina until the community moved, because as we know, when we saw those pictures today compared to 10 years ago, the entire strip of land is eroding at a very quick pace, and the concern was spending $40 or $50 million building a new school to have it washed away. So I guess the first question for Elizabeth is, when you say you're going to spend $4 million on site design and site evaluation, where is the site? Has the site been determined? Because the last time we heard, they were still debating where to move the community.
So, through the chair, Member Crow, I'm not the expert on all Kivalina issues, but I have been following it, and there has been ongoing regular meetings with many partners around Kivalina discussing the access road. And then coming along beside that, there has been discussions on the Kivalina School. And several months ago, there had been an area about 7 or 8 miles from the current Kivalina School site, which had been kind of earmarked as the school site that they were looking at. No road to it, you can get there, but it had been earmarked as the school site. And then the access road, the plans, there had been a couple plans, and the maps showed how the access road would swing around so that the school driveway could connect up to it. So there was some preliminary plans that the school site would be 7 or 8 miles from the current site. As these two processes move along together, and as the appropriation is earmarked for design, the department will continue to work with the school district. The school district will not have access to the funds until there's a project agreement that is signed with the department. That would be access to the $4 million in design funds. And so that process will happen, and both the district and the department will understand how much of that funds will be spent, what will be worked on, if this is the site that they want to do some further exploration on to make sure that the ground is would support the school if that's the best place for it. And
Thank you, Elizabeth. I think we get the drift there. Thank you, and we're sorry to put you on the spot as the resident expert at this point, but I think that our particular point was prototype schools, and this might be an opportunity to start our prototype schools. And with that, do we have any other questions for Elizabeth?
Madam Chair, I have one more follow-up.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Elizabeth, we talk about the prototype schools and the importance, which I think we all agree. But when you look out over the next 5 years, how many schools does the state project it will have to build?
well, I think when we put the RFP out and we talked to even the contractor, the phrase that was often used was, right now for the time being, Alaska's built out.